Could someone like myself with no felony but multiple misdemeanors become an HVAC tech? And this is actually something that I've had a conversation like this repeatedly over the years. And I've got a fairly strong opinion overall. Even if you have a felony, okay? So I'm going to come at this from both angles. Residential side, or if you're going to be working in, say, large scale industrial systems, either direction. Both of those typically have a fairly extensive background process, and you're going to be vetted very heavily. One, you're either entering into people's homes, or two, you're going into high critical facilities. Okay, so we're talking about, federal locations, sometimes state locations, military locations, things like that, right? So on either end of the spectrum. Um, but there is I'm not saying that in those examples that it means a no. I've actually, especially like on the federal side, I've had some technicians I've worked with who had a colorful background, as I'll say, and they had no issues. They passed through all the checks. Now, that doesn't mean that would be true for every facility, but I've had some that it was not an issue. My point being, you might be restricted in some of the opportunities you get because of your background, especially in those areas. Now, this is one great thing about this industry, though. If you're trying to go commercial, or if you have a background like that's, let's say, colorful, the commercial side is an amazing opportunity for you. Because let me tell you, the customer, typically, they really don't care on the commercials end. As long as at the time you're presentable, you don't look like you just walked off the street. Okay, let's preface with that. You need to be presentable, even if you're covered in other stuff, which some people frown upon. When it comes time for the commercial side of it, their focus is, this thing just isn't working and somebody better get it online. And so they just don't really care. It's not the same thing, or at least that's my experience here in Central Texas and Austin. They really don't. And there's all kinds of opportunity for you in this industry at that level, because the focus is, can you come in, can you do the job, can you make the repair, are you trained enough to do this? And that's what they care about. They don't really care as much about what you look like, whatever kind of tattoos you have, what kind of background you may have. Those things aren't a part of the conversation. I'm not saying that if you work in an office building at some point, servicing a VAV or something, that the tenant for the property might complain because you've got a certain tattoo or something. Like, sure, that stuff happens, fine. But for the most part, the majority of the time, it never even comes up. Why? Because that's not what they're really paying attention to, and it's not what they care about. A lot of the work in the companies and facilities you would be servicing and working alongside, it's about, do you have the skill set, not what have you done in the past that you shouldn't have done, because it's a different environment. Okay, that's my main point. I would encourage you that if you have something like that, do your best to get into that commercial side of things, where you don't really, a lot of the time, I mean, you have to interact with people, but there's certain sectors that you don't have to interact with that many people. And it may be just one or two people on the specific job site, depending on what it is you're doing. And the bulk of your time is just spent there with the equipment, dealing with it directly. So that's my thoughts. That's my suggestion. And if that's the direction you're trying to go, then I would really encourage you to just consider the commercial path and just see how it works out for you. With that, I'm here at the airport doing some traveling, but I wanted to jump on and do some Q&As and just kind of experiment with this format and just kind of see where it goes. So let me know your thoughts and feedback. With that, if you're interested in any kind of advanced chiller training or anything of that nature, or if you want to be developed in the chiller side, go check out chilleracademy.com, see what I got going on over there, see if it's a good fit for you and how we could work together to help improve where you're at, get you involved in the chiller community over there. With that, MTT, make the time for your family, for your spouse, and for your kids. I'll see you around.